Through interviews from London to Los Angeles, I hope this podcast will inspire you to embrace your wild side. To keep up with my wild adventures, follow me at SusieLindau.com. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Enjoy the show. This week, I'm live in London attending the International Bloggers Bash, where 17 bloggers tell me their definition of wild and share their wild side.
I'm Matt Lyne-Hayward, and my blog is called The Gay Stepdad.
And he just won for Best Humor Blogger at the Bloggers Bash.
Thank you. I write a blog about life in general, and I poke fun at myself. My story comes from being a sudden stepdad, if you like. So I met my husband 4 years ago, and he came with 2 teenage children. So that's a large part of my life. I've gone from being a very kind of going out every night of the week type of person to a kind of stay-at-home dad. Well, not stay-at-home dad. I do work full time, and you know.
But you help him with homework.
Yeah, help with homework. Biggest part of my life at the moment is managing the Wi-Fi situation because that's really important with teenagers. So yeah, I've really kind of moved towards a different area in my life. I suppose when I think of the wild side of my life, the defining moment in my life was when I was 21, and that's a long time ago now. I was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my God.
And before that, I was really, really ambitious in terms of wanting, I had milestones in my life in terms of career progression and all that kind of stuff. And when I survived cancer, I then became a really outgoing, adrenaline-seeking person. So I do things like zip lining and all the stuff that really, all the dangerous stuff.
Sure.
I love doing all that kind of stuff because it really put my life into a bit of perspective. So yeah, I like zip lining. I'm a killer at karaoke. I would do karaoke every day of the week if I could. I actually had karaoke at my wedding, which is completely against wedding protocol, but we had karaoke at the wedding, and I just really, really enjoy doing stuff that it really pushes the boundaries, and real dangerous stuff, bungee jumping and parachuting and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably my wild side.
So do you still do stuff that pushes the boundaries? I mean,
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we've just been to Mexico. We did the longest zip line in the world in Mexico, which was 70 miles an hour and 2 kilometers long. So yeah, it was really, really good fun. But I love doing all that stuff, and bungee jumping and all that kind of really crazy out there stuff that I wouldn't normally have done. Well, I definitely wouldn't have done 19 years ago.
But you feel like because you had cancer that you live life large, like you just have to live it while you can.
And I live life in terms of day to day rather than I have no plan. I don't plan for the future. I don't. So, some people say, "Oh, what are you going to be doing in 5 years' time?" And I'm not like that. I'm more of a live for today type of guy.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, my name is Ellen Best from Words and Scribble blog. I write, and if I was to talk about my wild side would probably be how much I've changed since I was 50. At the age of 50, I took my first flight, and since then, I've travelled all over the world. I've worked in India, in New Delhi. I have just spent every moment since my 50th birthday having adventures. And I try and have an adventure every day. from the smallest adventure where I take my friend into a local library, I sit on the floor, open a book and begin to write it, read this book to anybody who's there, loud voice, using all the voices. My friend runs out the door. Kids come around me, parents drag them away thinking I'm mad, and then they sit down and join me. Every day is worth spending a moment in an adventure.
Do you have any adventures you're looking forward to or anything on the docket?
I think my next adventure is going to see my sister in Georgia. We've never been there, and we've been trying to get there recently, but what we do there is probably going to be the adventure.
Excellent, thank you. Now you're on.
My name's Lucy Mitchell. I've got a blog, Blonde Write More. My wild thing that I did was start a podcast. It's a fictional podcast where I had to act out the characters. I've never done any acting before. I didn't have a recording studio, so I had to record in my daughter's shoe cupboard. And I knew I had to get my art out there. I mean, it's got 1,000 downloads. It's not a big podcast, but for me, sitting in a shoe cupboard with a microphone, acting out a story that I'd written was wild. That did it for me.
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
My name is Jeff Lepard, and I blog at Tangential, and I blog about life, the universe, and pretty much everything. As to a wild side, I would have said that I was fairly boring until 2014, when my son dragged me to New Zealand for a dad and son's holiday. And New Zealand is the home of the adventure sports, so I ended the holiday bungee jumping. I didn't intend to bungee jump. In fact, I did everything I could to avoid bungee jumping. But by the time I got to the end of New Zealand thinking this was coming, I'd pretty much got my head around the idea that I was going to throw myself off a building or off a bridge or off a mountain attached to a piece of knicker elastic and think, well, New Zealand is a pretty civilized country and they don't kill many tourists. It kind of doesn't sell itself, does it? That you end up with a lot of splatted tourists like flies on the windscreen. So I thought, I'll do it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to keep my eyes open and I'm going to love it. So I got there, I got to the platform, it's hanging over a gorge. I thought, this is going to be great. I watched the people in front of me. Everybody was told, don't just jump off with your feet first, because that's called an elevator. And all that happens is you go down to the end of the rope and it flips you over like, on the end of an elevator cord, and you'll feel very sick. So swallow dive, arms out, head out first, like a graceful Superman leaving a building. That's fine. So I did a graceful Superman leaving the building. Now, what I didn't know, and I loved it, and it was brilliant, and I was screaming as I went down, and the air rushes past you, and then there's this silent moment, and you bounce a bit, and they pull you back up, and it's all wonderful. They video you, and you can buy the video, and I bought the video, and I got this, and my son, who's 25, and I'm 50 at the time, got the video, looked at it, my son arched back, grace in flight. I looked like Fat Boy, the bomb that left the carriage to destroy Nagasaki. It looked like I'd been released from a bomb door. It was really the most unpleasant little fat, bald, silly man who should know better, who should be sitting in a cafe watching. So that was my wild side. The thing about wild side, and I don't know if I'm going on too long, is that adrenaline pumps. So when we got pulled back up to the top and high-fived and fist-pumped each other, my son said, hey, the guy said for an extra $90, we can go and jump off another building. We can do it together. And we did. We did a tandem swing together. And that was wonderful. I did a tandem swing with my son, and we went and we screamed, and we dropped something like 90 meters in an arc, a 310-meter arc, as you drop 90 meters down. And somehow I survived. I didn't get whiplash. I learned afterwards you can get detached retinas from doing this. But
my God.
They all stayed attached. So that was my wild side.
Well, thank you so much.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
So, hi, my name is Sasha Black. I blog at sashablack.co.uk. I also write young adult fantasy fiction, and I also write writing craft books for writers, and I am the founder of the annual Bloggers Bash, which was kind of a risk in itself, but...
Yay! That's why we're here.
I guess there's kind of two stories. There's like the everyday change, the everyday risk, and I love to like embody doing kind of anything that breaks the rules. Lots of my friends tell me that I'm a rule breaker, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But it's everything from working in like a really conservative environment and shaving my head, in protest, all the way through to just outright flouting rules at work, rocking up in trainers because I was told I had to look smart and stuff like that. But for me, I guess like one of the most magical risks that I took was when I was 18, I instead of going sort of straight to university or studying working over the summer, I wanted to go and travel through China. And I'd kind of planned out my trip, and my best friend at the time was like, no, like screw that, let's go and do something, like let's do a thing that we'll remember forever. So we looked online, we looked at what challenges there were, and we were like, let's go to Mount Everest. So we did. God. We went to Mount Everest and we trekked up to Mount Everest Base Camp. We booked it like 3 weeks before we went, and we just went. And we trekked the whole way. It was 100 miles up through the Himalayas, and it was life-changing. It was like, it was humbling, and it was a bit of a risk because we were just two 18-year-old girls, and it was amazing.
So did you go to any of the base camps, or did you?
Yeah, we went to Everest Base Camp, and we also summited a mountain that has the best views of Everest, and it's called Kalapatar. And so we got up at like 4 a.m, and basically we went on the off season, like because we'd booked it so last minute, it was the off season. And when we got to the top of the mountain, the Sherpas that were with us were like, we have not had any views, it's been misty for like the last month, and literally we summited and the clouds parted, and I just got the most amazing views of Everest. So
wow, that gave me shivers. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
You're my son.
Hi, my name is Hugh Roberts, and I have a blog at hughesviewsandnews.com. My wild side, I never thought I'd ever do this, but after watching the movie Thelma and Louise, I decided to jump into a car one day and drive from London to Brighton on my own, which I did. When I got there, I had nowhere to stay, and I was about to jump in the car and come back, but I decided to go into a hotel and ask if I could have a room for the night, and I'd write a review about the hotel, which I never did. And I stayed the night at the hotel, and I went out that evening, and I met my current partner, John, in a pub. And just before that, I'd gone to a fortune teller on Brighton Pier, and she told me that night I was going to meet somebody very important. I didn't believe her, but I did, and 23 years later, we're still together, and we're now married.
Congratulations, that's so great, Hugh. What a great, wild story. So see, you have to take chances, right? You have to take risks. You are uncomfortable, and sometimes getting uncomfortable and pushing yourself and pushing those borders, it gets you to a new place in your life. So
yeah, it's a new chapter in your life. If I hadn't done that, and I was thinking to myself, don't do this, because I'm usually very sensible, don't do this, just go and get a takeaway, stay in, watch TV. But I thought, no, I'm going to jump in that car and I'm going to drive down to Brighton, and it changed my life.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Helen Jones, and I blog at Journey to Ambeth. And my wild side, which you may not expect, is that I have 2 black belts, and I used to fight competitively, and I represented Canada at the World Championships for fighting a long time ago, and I've had my nose broken and I got knocked out. So there you go. That's my wild side.
How did you get knocked out?
When she hit me in the nose.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get your black belt?
The first one, it took me about 4 years. And then I've had about 17 years training in martial arts. So I have black belt in 2 styles, and I have a blue belt in another style, and I've done like other stuff like weapons and things like that, but not very much of it. So that's my wild side.
So cool. Are you still doing it? Are you still practicing? racing?
I was until about 6 months ago, and I decided I needed to take a break.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ritu from But I Smile Anyway, talking about wild sides. Now, my wild side has changed so much as I've grown. When I was a young, innocent Indian girl, for me, being wild was, I just walked to the shop by myself, right? And then it got to I just went to a club or a bar without telling my parents, And it's grown. So now, obviously, wild now, it's a different type of wild for me. It's like, wow, I managed to let my son go out to the shop without me. I don't consider myself to be particularly wild at all, But, I've done my fair share of wild stuff, doing naughty things where you shouldn't do naughty things, and, getting drunk when you shouldn't really be too drunk. And that's it. And I think every step of my life, I'm sure I'll find wilder and wilder things to think. But they may not be wild to someone else. They're wild to me.
Okay, well,
there you go.
Appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Steve Tannum, and my blog is called Sun in Gemini. And my wild side, my wild side involves motorbikes. So when I was young, I didn't have a lot of money, and as a student, I had a 500cc Triumph motorbike, which used to fall apart on a regular basis. And I promised myself that one day I would go back and have a decent motorbike. And when I retired from the IT business a few years ago, that came to haunt me again and said, no, you really haven't done this, you should do that. So about 3 months ago, I began to scan the used motorcycles for sale, and I ended up buying myself a 12-year-old but very beautiful BMW 1200 GS, which, if you know about motorcycles, you'll know is a big motorcycle. So that motorcycle has 2 cylinders, 600cc each, that stick out the side and give it a very low and exciting center of gravity. But each one of those is as big as the poor little motorcycle I had when I was 16, 17, 18. And I'm happy to say that I am completely terrified of it.
Have you ridden it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've ridden it, and the fear is gradually dissipating. But when I got on that thing, I was so frightened that my old reactions wouldn't come back. So, now I had done a bit of biking in the middle in my 40s, but I was terrified that those skills wouldn't come back, and that the young 16, 17, 18-year-old who had lightning reactions and the sort of midlife 40-year-old who still seemed to have those reactions would not have survived into the 60s where I now live. But I'm happy to say that with each passing summer evening, and this will just be a summer hobby, with each passing summer evening, my wild side gets wilder and the confidence comes back, and I am completely enjoying the terror.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sally Cronin, and I'm a blogger and an author, and I write at Smorgasbord Invitation on WordPress. I would say that probably my wildest decision was to join Tony Robbins' Life Mastery back in 1996. So my husband and I began with the Firewalk, which was in England. My husband did the Firewalk. I'm afraid chickened out because at the time I weighed 330 pounds and I had this sneaking feeling I was going to be sinking through those burning coals. But we signed up for 18 months and we did the whole of the Life Mastery course, and I lost 80 pounds by the end of the 18 months, and my crowning glory was climbing a 60-foot telegraph pole, standing on the top and then jumping off to catch a trapeze before being lowered to the ground. But I have to say I did insist upon 2 men being on the end of the safety rope. So we did a lot of things with Tony Robbins as far as a bit of an adventure went, and it went a long way to build my self-esteem up and my self-confidence, and I can't say I've looked back since.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Sue Vincent, scvincent.com, the Daily Echo. I blog and am owned by the Small Dog. Many years ago I moved to Paris, took up residence on the Artist Square there, modelled naked for most of the artists that were up there. They fed me, I fed them, depending on who had the money. It was great fun.
I love it. It's nice to meet you soon.
Hi, my name is Christoph Fischer. I write at Christoph Fischer, WordPress.com. I'm an author and a writer and a reviewer. My wild side, well, until I was 27, I was a kind of civil servant type of person. I always never took risks. I sort of did the right thing. I worked before I started, worked while I was studying, and sort of took the first job that was coming, and then when I was 27, I realized that there was a little bit more to life than that. And I quit my job and I started work as flight attendant, and I traveled the world, and I started on my first long-haul flight. I went skydiving, and I just realized, because life is so precious, but life is also really short. And if you think life is just precious and you mustn't risk anything, then you're not really living. So I cannot stress enough the importance of adventure in your life. So I'm looking really forward to this Wild Ride blog. I'm going to subscribe to it. I think it's a fantastic idea because we all need a lot of adventure. That's what life makes living worth living.
All right, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Alexina Golding. My wild side is, I would say, I'm a introverted extrovert. I'm only really chatty when I feel comfortable or when I'm enthusiastic about something. So I was really enthusiastic when my children were little and wanted to work from home looking after them. So I set up a business from scratch, and I was a cake maker and decorator. I revamped a whole room in my house to make a kitchen. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly. So when I got an opportunity last year to do some commissioning advisor for Bloodhound Books, I was still a cake maker and decided to take the leap, and after 3 weeks of working for them, decided to close all my business and work for them, and since then it's been brilliant. The company's grown, so if you have a chance to do something, go do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the inspiration.
Hi, I'm Eloise D'Souza from Thoughts by Mellow. I'd like to tell you a bit about my wild side. Once upon a time, I used to be a freelance journalist, and my favorite pastime was running into the fray when I knew that there was a riot outside our building. I used to go and dodge rubber bullets and canisters of tear gas just to get a story or to meet up with somebody in the crowd who might happen to be part of the political party. So that's me in my past life.
Oh my gosh. So when that happened on London Bridge, did some little tiny part of you want to run towards the action instead of holding up in your place?
Knives. I think you can dodge bullets better than knives.
Yeah, no, I think a little bit of me was hoping we were following the news reports from the time it happened, and I was trying to go through all the different websites to find out Al Jazeera, BBC News, just to find out the proper information, following Reuters online just to see what was happening. But yeah, you'd still have a little bit of you that you want to follow the story.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Graham Cumming. My blog site is on grahamcumming.co.uk. My wild side, I suppose the thing that's most relevant for me at the moment is that about 4 or 5 years ago I took up dinghy sailing. So mainly inland, but I think the wild element of that is that I really like it when it's very windy. My partner at the time...
My kind of fun person to hang out with.
My partner at the time, who thought it would be a great idea to take up sailing, had a kind of more sedate view of what sailing would be, whereas she wanted to just poddle along nicely. That's an English word, poddle. I would not be happy unless I had the boat tilted upon its edge. And indeed, probably for the first 3 years, probably spent more time being ejected from the boat because I don't mind getting wet. But I now don't capsize so much because I have managed to learn where the balancing point is. But you have to do that, get yourself thrown out of the boat a lot before you can work out what the right balance is. So that's the wild part for me, I think.
Did you ever have a time where you were capsized and were struggling in the water, or was it easy to get back in the boat?
I have struggled to get back in the boat, but I don't worry too much about being in the water because I like being in the water. And I know some people will panic about this, but I've even had situations where the boat has flipped and I've been thrown under it, and when I've come up, I've hit the sail.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that that can be claustrophobic for some people, but I don't mind because I quite like being not just in the water but underwater. And so I didn't panic, and I was just happy to swim out. But that, I recognise that's a state of mind. You know, not everybody's like that.
You're calm under pressure. That's a good thing.
I think it's because I feel safe in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas not everybody does.
No.
Yeah.
Not me.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Susie, and I'm the creator of Susie81speaks.com. I suppose when you look back over my life story, it's a little bit sedate. I haven't been anywhere dangerous. I haven't done any particularly dangerous activities. But a couple of years ago, I decided to just quit my job without another job to go to. And that was the scariest thing I've done in my entire life. And because of that now, life is much more spontaneous. So my version of being wild is the spontaneity that is day-to-day life at the minute, without a plan or, a project or basically.
That's excellent. So do you have any wild ideas of things you want to do in the future, or you're not planning anything, so maybe not?
Yeah, I've got loads of ideas of things that I would absolutely love to do, but it's a question of being able to afford it. So if I ever won the lottery, then you might find me,
In Colorado?
Oh, definitely. No, you might find me flying over the Grand Canyon in a helicopter and things like that. But yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Excellent. Thank you.
Production and musical score of The Wild Side by Kelly Lindau. Visit my website at susielindau.com. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, or tweet me about the show at Susie Lindau, and I'll follow you back. If you enjoyed The Wild Side, be sure to tell your friends, family, or anyone who will listen. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Thanks so much for listening.